be seated. That cheering was, I think, what we all feel today. Probably not quite as much as the graduates, but but it is certainly a feeling of joy and excitement that we all share. Welcome to all of you to the 2013 class of the Louisiana Scholars College. Tonight, we want to celebrate everything that these students have done. The fact that they took the hard path, something they didn't have to do, something that they chose to do, because they wanted something different and something more out of their education. And they knew that it was going to take them the places that they wanted to go for the rest of their lives. So tonight we're going to celebrate their achievements, cry a little bit, and share in what has been an amazing 4 or a little more years. This night has been made possible by not just the students. You came here from families who provided you with support and help and encouragement and a kick in the butt sometimes when you needed it. So if this moment you would please stand up, graduates. Yeah, that's you guys. Out. And now you turn around and please thank your families. Now you can sit down. You got to get your exercise in this program. Families, graduates, you entrusted yourselves to another group of people. I think one of the things that you have learned in your time at Scholars is that teaching here at Northwestern, and especially in the Scholars College, isn't just something that we do. It's something that we are. It's something that we live and breathe, and it's in our heart and souls. So if you, the faculty, would please stand for a moment. You know how many versions of your thesis they read. You know how many times they said, yes, you can turn that paper in late. This has been a group project. But what's been most important of all is how you have chosen to shape your lives, how you have chosen to build a career, how you've chosen to think about who you are and who you want to be, and then acted. Education is not a spectator sport. Education is something you do, and you all have, with amazing skill and heart and hard work. You've balanced acting and singing and playing. You've balanced crew and soccer. You've learned computer languages and Greek and Latin and French and Spanish and some Russian and German. You've studied abroad. You've done internships. You've gotten jobs before you graduated. Parents, you're welcome. You've gotten into prestigious graduate programs and professional programs. And you've chosen to spend your time after scholars for just a little while doing things for others. Because that's who you were when you were here. You are a very giving, wonderful group of people. That's part of the Scholars family, and that's something that you've always been and always will be. So tonight, each year the class votes so that they want faculty to speak to them, and they vote on students to speak to them. So tonight we're going to begin first with the faculty representative that the students chose, one of two. And we'll start with Dr. Betsy Cochran.
To the class of 2013, thank you for selecting me to speak to you. It is quite an honor. Of course, you should know better. You should never give the floor to an academic when there's a captive audience. Oh well. As with any major transition in your life, graduation is a time to reflect. And so I'm going to ask you to reflect a bit with me. In case you haven't realized it yet, graduating from the Scholars College is an honor in and of itself. When you cross the stage tomorrow, you will join 546 distinguished alumni of the college. Not counting those who came back for a second degree or who graduated, like some of you, with 2. They're presidents and vice presidents of corporations. They're lawyers, accountants, doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. They're artists, college professors, business owners, and leaders in the armed forces. Teachers, clergy, volunteers, musicians, and political consultants. They work for the State Department, the National Weather Service, and the National Park Service. Many are still in school pursuing higher education. Some even live and work abroad. They're active citizens in their communities and cornerstones of their families. You are all exactly like them. You are all unique individuals, each on a unique path to your future. And one more thing, we're all very proud of you. You've chosen a more difficult path. You took harder courses, many outside your discipline. Collectively, you took a lot of courses, more than what was required. Some of you, a lot more than what was required. Some of you never heard of the course that you didn't like, much to your advisor's concern. For some courses, you read stacks of books instead of just one. When the demands seemed too much, you stuck it out. You studied late, read another chapter, added one more source, wrote one more page, revised once more. Well, that one most of the time. I hope you don't mind too much if I recycle a comment. You all know that I really do like to recycle. So I just want to say this, that I told to an earlier class. While you are all familiar with the demands of our curriculum, your friends and family may not be. So why don't we just take a moment to reflect on what you've done. Despite the wide variety of traditional majors and the individualized nature of each concentration in the major in liberal arts and sciences, all students in the college have an extensive, comprehensive, and multidisciplinary educational experience in common. This is designed to ensure specific fundamental learning outcomes. We did it on purpose. Let's see if you agree with what the college claims each and every one of you can do. A student who successfully completes any of the college's programs of study should be able to find, evaluate, and use appropriate information for scholarship from both the electronic and print media. Check? Check. Sustain a substantial, complex argument in a cogent written presentation while adhering to a style appropriate for research in the field of inquiry. Check? Check. Orally present, criticize, defend, and refute a cogent argument based on textual evidence. Check? Check. Recognize the nature of and differences between historical, cultural, philosophical, linguistic, literary, artistic, mathematical, and scientific approaches to scholarship. Check? Check. Identify instances of the impact of culture on philosophy, literature, the arts, mathematics, and science, and conversely, the impact of these disciplines upon culture. Check? Check. Hold simple conversations or read primary documents in a second language. Check? Okay, check. Distinguish between valid science and pseudoscience. Check? Check. Explain results in their area of specialty to a general audience of broadly educated people. Check? Check. Translate simple quantitative problems into their mathematical abstractions. Check? Better say yes. Apply their knowledge in novel situations. Check? Check. And utilize technological advances to simplify scholarly tasks such as writing, research, and numerical analysis. Check? Check. That's good. I just wanted to make absolutely sure we could let you graduate. You should be proud of yourselves. That's a pretty good checklist. Some of what you've learned here will be useless in the long run. You probably won't need to know, just wait, you won't need to know how your classmates will respond in a philosophical, political, or religious discussion, but after 5 semesters of TNT, 3 semesters of science seminar, and countless other seminar courses, you probably know. All those little quirks like who among the faculty prefer which font face or which library database may have helped you get where you are, but I doubt you'll use that information again. Even learning which foods to avoid in the cafeteria, while important for survival as a student, won't be of much use 5 years from now. What else have you learned? Even the shyest among you have learned to share your opinions with the rest, while the most gregarious have learned to share the floor. We've all learned that we're not the very best in absolutely everything, but that sometimes we're better than we think. We've even learned that a room full of people can read the same book and reach drastically different conclusions. That fact continues to amaze me. Some of you learned to deal with nearly impenetrable red tape, and others how to plow through those last weeks of the thesis. You've learned that no one is perfect, nor can we produce perfection. And you'll be reminded of that in 6 weeks or so when you get your thesis back from the binder, and you open it up to a random page, and immediately a typo jumps out and smacks you in the face. I swear you leave these things alone for a few days on the shelf, and they mutate. I hope that you've learned something that sometimes you absolutely must do the best you can do, while at other times it's appropriate to do just enough because you have to let it go and move on. May you develop the wisdom to tell the difference. Finally, through your involvement with the college and with other organizations on campus and in our community, you've learned the pleasure of serving others, and I am constantly amazed at how much our students do. Along the way, you've also learned to be responsible for yourselves and your actions, how to get up in the morning most of the time, how to get your work done. You've learned 101 life lessons, not all without pain. All in all, it's not a bad academic career. So let's take a moment just to reflect. I'd like you to close your eyes and think. What was your most embarrassing moment at the college? Got it? Guess what? We have pretty good evidence that you survived. think about that eureka moment that you had when you finally mastered a very difficult idea. We all hope that you will be engaged in the pursuit of knowledge for the rest of your lives, and that there will be times when you actually win the race. And wasn't there also a moment sometime in your career when you learned something completely by accident? It simply made your day. I had one of those moments 2 or 3 days ago. I don't remember what it was I learned, but I do remember how excited I was and how pleasing it was. I hope that you just don't forget to notice those moments and enjoy it. There's one more thing I hope you learned. It's my sincerest wish that you have come to understand that with the proper mindset, you can always learn from someone, no matter what his or her background, age, or education. You can learn from every situation, from every activity, from every interaction that you have. Every day, I hope you take the time to ask yourself, what have I learned today? And I hope you have a satisfactory answer. Thank you, and congratulations.
Because as scholars, we like both, not either or. The second speaker that the students chose is Dr. Holly Stave.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the senior class for the honor of selecting me to be one of their commencement speakers, and I would like to welcome them and their families and friends and our honored guests to this event. This time of the year is always bittersweet. We're so proud of what you have accomplished and so pleased that we could play a part in that process. But there are those tugs at our heartstrings and a voice that whispers, "Don't go yet." And I've spoken to enough of you graduates to know that you are feeling those same contradictions, eager to head out for the next stage, but heart heavy at saying goodbye to us and to the family of friends you've created during the past 4 or 5 years. But it is so time for you to leave because the world so desperately needs you. I cannot recall a time in my life where this country has needed an educated, informed populace as much as it does now. At a time when the very concept of an education in the liberal arts is under attack by legislators who cannot think beyond dollars and cents, your knowledge, your ability to think critically and analyze shrewdly, your grounding in history and philosophy are vital to preserving the country we were founded to be. Increasingly, we hear state legislators mumble that philosophy, gender studies, literature, anthropology, history, ethnic studies, etc., are not necessary because they don't lead to jobs. Some of them argue that we as educators are indoctrinating you, causing you to lose your original values. I believe that's called maturing. But a liberal arts education was always meant to be a political education. The Latin phrase, ars liberalis, refers to the skills required of a free man or woman these days. That is, the skills required of a citizen. While those same legislators would likely argue that Latin is also useless because it doesn't lead to jobs, I think it is vital that we remember that education is not job training. Without citizens capable of the kinds of analysis and critical thinking that you have demonstrated you are capable of, democracy cannot survive. I am not being hyperbolic. We live in a time where opinion has come to be understood as fact, where some people believe that what an uninformed, unread person believes is as valid as the claims of an expert who has studied a field for years. Some people would argue that's what a democracy is. My opinion is as valid as yours. If we're talking flavors of ice cream, that is true. If we're talking about, for just one example, climate change, that is most certainly not true. A survey of peer-reviewed abstracts of articles on this topic from 1993 to 2003 revealed that not one single paper rejected the idea that global warming is caused by humans. Now, in good scientific fashion, some papers did maintain that they felt the evidence was not adequate to claim it, but they refused to reject the possibility. But we continually hear that both sides of the issue must be heard. What both sides? The side of expertise based on evidence versus the side of wishful thinkers who believe doing anything serious about the matter will harm business? The side of those who wish to stick their heads in the sand and pretend the situation isn't dire? Simply put, the sand is no place for heads. You live in a world where the chairman of Nestle Corporation claimed that water is a foodstuff like any other, that it is radical to claim that water is a human right, that we have never been wealthier than we have been now. One can only wonder what he meant. You live in a world where many accepted Paul Ryan's claim that a raped woman cannot conceive a child because her body shuts down, all medical evidence notwithstanding. You live in a world that heard Rudy Giuliani insist that no domestic terrorist attacks happened during George W. Bush's administration. I guess, even though Giuliani was mayor of New York City in 2001, he sort of forgot that small incident that we have come to call 9/11. To say that the world needs you now is a massive understatement. You have claimed the tools that allow you to read, to contextualize, to draw inferences, to see through the misleading arguments like these. Because of your liberal arts education, you are not part of the 40-some%, according to a Gallup poll, of Americans who did not know that Judaism is older than Christianity. Because of your liberal arts education, you are not one out of every 4 Americans who believes the U.S. won its independence from a country other than Great Britain. Because of your liberal arts education, you are not part of the 61% of Americans who do not believe in Darwin's theory of evolution. But our material existence is only part of what makes us fully human. It is not enough simply to live in the sense of breathing, eating, sleeping. Some anthropologists argue that our species became human at the time we began to create art. Our spirits must soar for us to relish these years we are given in these bodies. And for that, we need to listen and to make music, to be the dancer and to watch the dance, to be humbled by the amazing art created by others, even as we make our own contributions in those areas. We need to imaginatively enter the lives of others through literature and film, because it will develop our sense of compassion and understanding, and because we will thrill to the language and the images created by others. And your liberal arts education has enabled you in this area as well. What we are asking of you is not easy. We want you to use your intellect, your judgment, your knowledge to stand against the forces of ignorance. But we want you to do it without losing your compassion, your capacity for kindness and laughter, your delight in the sheer beauty of the world, and the downright silliness of life at some times. But what we have asked of you in the last 4 years was not easy either, and you managed that. I feel a little better knowing that all of you are now citizens of the world at large. Thank you.
one of the characteristics of scholar students is they like to talk. The students chose 2 student representatives to speak to and for them tonight. Rachel Pear, would you please come forward?
I would like to start by saying thank you all so much for choosing me to speak. I'm beyond honored. And also, I think you did a great job of choosing 2 people who like to talk. When we were first introduced to the Scholars College, we were told the meaning of the motto, which is arete. And if you look on the front of your programs, it's a Greek word, and it looks like fish petin, but it's not, it's arete. And in short, it means excellence. In addition to the meaning of arete, we have learned more than it is possible to describe in a few minutes. I mean, it did take us 4 or more years to learn it. But before we look forward, I'd like to take a look back at what we did learn. Freshman year, number 1 thing we learned, don't procrastinate. You'll pay for it, definitely. In addition to that, as soon as we moved out of home, the strange phenomenon occurred where our parents were suddenly right about everything. From Conference of the Birds, we learned that the journey is the reward, and from life, we learned that it's okay to change your major. Also from life, we learned that if you eat canes and ramen noodles for 2 weeks, you're not going to feel very good. To us back then, arete meant the Scholars College. We had experienced the excellence of our education and observed the excellence of our professors, as they did and do go above and beyond to help us learn. When we moved on to sophomore year, we learned never procrastinate. You will pay for it. Reading Frankenstein taught us that if you create your monsters, turn around and face them and take responsibility. If not, they will keep following you and hurt those you know and maybe even those you don't before they catch up with you anyway. The same year, we learned about the Bauhaus artists who, yes, I think we can all agree were a little strange. But what they believed was that art, the definition of art, comes from if the artist intends for it to be art. And whether or not you agree with that definition, I think there's definitely something to learn from having that much confidence in your own work. Candide taught us a lot of what not to do. But I think we can take away from it that if you put in hard work, you can achieve satisfaction. From reading Dreams of Trespass, Tales of a Harem Girlhood, we came to understand that education is what allows you to see past your preconceived notions on someone else's life, culture, and ideas. When we got to junior year, we learned, don't procrastinate. Reading the work of Emily Dickinson taught us that you should not keep your work hidden away from the world because you don't know how it's going to affect people. When we watched Citizen Kane, we learned that, in the end, it's the simple joys of life that matter. Then, Jay Gatsby showed us that you should act on your chances when they come around, because if you don't, you might spend a lot of time regretting it. Finally, when we got to senior year, we learned the most important lesson of all. Don't procrastinate on your thesis. Similarly, we learned that all-nighters aren't as easy as they were freshman year, because the thrill of a midnight trip to Taco Bell is officially gone. We also came to understand that if you put your best effort in, people are more willing to help you. Next, I'm going to paraphrase something J.K. Rowling said in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. There are some things you can't share without ending up liking each other, and knocking out a 12-foot mountain troll is one of them. By 12-foot mountain troll, I mean 40-page thesis. Last but not least, we learned that something that seems impossible at first can be conquered if you take it one step at a time. Now, after 4 years of schooling, we have realized that arete refers to the college and the faculty, but it extends its meaning to us, the graduating seniors. In the words of Dr. Davina McLean, our take is excellence in everything you are and everything you do. Though we have been humbled in our understanding that we've only begun to touch on the vast world of available knowledge, we have become excellent learners. We are an excellent group of people, and we are excellent friends to one another. We ourselves can and have achieved a level of excellence. Some of the lessons we have learned in our time at Scholars College will need to be learned repeatedly before they sink in. For other lessons, once was plenty. Every lesson we've learned will be something we will take to a higher education or to a career, which we will conquer with excellence.
You know, I think it's interesting that both of the speakers chosen actually came to Scholars through Freshman Connection very late. Both of you did. The second speaker, Cassie Washington.
This is going to sound a little unoriginal now, but thank you for selecting me to speak at graduation this year. I really appreciate it. They say it takes a village to raise a child. Children, village, village, children. In the case of the Louisiana Scholars College, I believe this to be true. But in this instance, I believe also that we have a hand in the education of our educators. For instance, the other day, I had to explain to Dr. Keel what a weave was. See, Dr. Keel, I taught you something too. I feel like I'm going to have this conversation again with some other people later. We teach them our lingo, and we teach them about ourselves. College is a 4-year magical fairy tale land where you're responsible for few and you make decisions that you think are the best. From personal experience, I can tell you, you don't always make the very best decisions. What is so unique about Scholars is that you're never alone. These friends that I met 4 years ago in August are no longer acquaintances. You are my siblings. We've struggled together through science, math, courses, and the TNT sequence. We've even had our own little tiffs, disagreements, and intense arguments in the middle of biology. And for that reason, there are people who aren't with us anymore. I'd like to welcome you to your second birth Scholars, class of 2013. For some, the entry into the world comes when you first exit your mother's womb. It's a time full of excitement and cooing over that sweet new partial alien life form that smells like baby powder and formula. But for those of us who go to college, when it comes time for graduation, we get to experience a fun little thing I like to call the second birth. Just think about it. Tomorrow morning, after we walk across that stage, we will all graduate from the university with our diplomas. And a wildly unenthused university staff member will cut the umbilical cord and set us free. The difference between the first birth and the second birth is that this time there's no waiting around for you to learn the things necessary in order to develop into a blossoming, successful individual. This birth rears its ugly head and boots you out into the unsuspecting world. Ready or not, here we come. There are a few lessons that we have learned here to help in the real world. When we were born, we didn't know how to talk. Our parents waited for over a year for us to mutter an incoherent mama or dada. From this point forward, though, there has been a bit of a disconnect in understanding when it's okay to talk and when it's not. One of the first lessons of the real world is quite the opposite, however. You learn when not to speak. It's the lesson I'm going to have the most trouble with. You all know me and you know it's my biggest problem. Another one of the lessons you learn in the early years is how to feed yourself. It comes in our toddler years and we often make huge messes. Scholars teaches us how to feed our bodies not with food, but with knowledge. The constant fight and desire to learn something new and exciting is inherent in each and every one of us. Another lesson we learn is to play well with others, and I think through 4 and in some cases 5 years, we've learned quite well that working together is almost always beneficial. Village, thank you for everything that you've taught us. Thank you for guiding us through this confusing, new period of our lives. You've watched us grow from academic infancy to, at very least, academic adolescence. Children, thank you for everything that you've done for me. Thank you for everything you've done for each other. To the graduating scholars of 2013, I have believed in each and every one of you from the beginning. With the next step in each of our lives, I wish you only the best and can't wait to see what the world has in store for you. This experience has been unforgettable, and I would not have chosen a different group of people to share it with. Congratulations and good luck, class of 2013. We did it.
And now it is time to present you with your thesis medallions, your scholar certificate, and for everyone to join in seeing the culmination of their scholar's career through their thesis. So, as I call your name, please come forward. Jonathan Joseph Bordelon. Computer Information Systems. Thesis, A Surviving Language, the Changes in Business Programming Languages and the Effects on COBOL. Whitney Dawn Gachinas. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration in Humanities and Social Thought. Thesis, The Queen of Vice and the Republic of Virtue, How Pornography Damned Marie Antoinette. Thank you, Kyle. Juliette Charmaine Gray. Bachelor of Science in Psychology. Thesis, the portrayal of oneself on Facebook and its correlation with offline self-esteem in college students. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration in Scientific Inquiry. Thesis, The Effects of Dental Treatments on Confidence and Self-Esteem. This is not news. Jackson Samuel Harmeyer. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with concentrations in Fine and Performing Arts and Humanities and Social Thought. Thesis, Learning from the Past, the influence of Johann Sebastian Bach upon the Soviet composers. Matthew Edwin Haskins. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration in Scientific Inquiry. Thesis, histologic types and risk factors in familial lung cancer cases from Southern Louisiana. Robin Allison Jones. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration in Scientific Inquiry. Thesis, the GCMS determination of volatile organic compounds in the city of Natchitoches drinking water. The water is safe. Victoria Ann Olivier. Bachelor of Science in Theater with a concentration in musical theater. Thesis, Viewpoints versus the Method. A study of the viewpoints acting style as a tool for understanding other acting methods using a musical theater repertoire. Taylor Danielle Orgeron. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration in Humanities and Social Thought. Thesis, Dwarves, Clowns, and Rebels. The anti-hero in post-World War II German literature. Rachel Lauren Hare. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration in Humanities and Social Thought. Thesis, use it up, wear it out, make it do. The effects of World War II on the fashion industry. Casey Paul Palumbo. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration in Humanities and Social Thought. Thesis, Policy Implications of Studying Small Businesses with the Matrix Population Models. Brittany Lynn Rogers. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration in Fine Performing Arts. Bachelor of Science in Theater with a concentration in Performing and Directing. Thesis, The American Protest Plays of Edward Albee and a Director's Interpretation. Marissa Faith Sonia. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration in Humanities and Social Thought. Thesis, The One That You Will Not Call Mother, the relationships between mothers and daughters in the novels of Louise Erdrich.
That's my favorite girl.
Sarah Elizabeth Spain. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration in Humanities and Social Thought. Thesis, Education and Healthcare in 3 African States, a preliminary study of political regimes and policies. George Charles Thompson. Bachelor of Science in Computer Information Systems, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. Thesis, Exploring Augmented Reality Navigation on the campus of Northwestern State University. Stephen Brent Thompson. Bachelor of Science in Computer Information Systems. Thesis, National Preservation is mobile, so should be its tools. Cassandra Deanna Washington. Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration in Humanities and Social Thought. Thesis, Mary, Mary, quite contrary. Queen of Scots, martyr or murderer? We have one graduate who couldn't be with us tonight because her little sister was also graduating from high school. I know, pretty sweet, huh? Bad timing, but very sweet. So Jessica Elizabeth Marie Weeks. Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. Thesis, The Cluttered Web We Weave, a comparable analysis of traditional media advertisement clutter and online media advertisement clutter. There you have it. You have your medallions. Hey, you put a lot of work into getting those. You have the Scholar's Diploma, lovingly hand-lettered for you by a retired Miss Jeanette, who came back to do them because you are also all still her children. Tomorrow you'll graduate with the university, and there'll be more cheering and more pictures and more excitement and more tears. Understand that olim doctus, semper doctus. Once a scholar, always a scholar. You will leave here, and you should. It's time. Much as some of you have asked not to graduate, I've denied that request. But you will never leave here. The memories, what you have done to shape this college, what you have taught all of us, those will always be here with us, just as the memories and stories you will go tell about scholars will mean that we're always with you. We have loved teaching you. We have loved laughing with you. We haven't loved having to nudge you. But we're also so proud, not just of what you have done, but of who you are. Congratulations to the class of 2013. After the faculty and the graduates leave, we invite you all to join us over at Morrison Hall, rooms 227 and 230, for a light reception and a chance to just mingle and talk, and one last hug. Thank you all very much for coming, and we look forward to talking with you soon.